right, I have 2 o'clock Eastern time on the clock, so I'm going to go ahead and kick off today's webinar. We want to thank everyone for joining us. My name is Samantha Renierson, and I'm a Senior Program Manager at the National Policing Institute, and I serve on the BJA-funded Rural Violent Crime Reduction Initiative, or what you'll hear referred to as RVCRI throughout today's webinar. And we're happy to host the webinar today on rural resources, grants training, and more. I'm joined today by a couple of presenters as well as some of our colleagues. So first we have Juliana Palmer, who's a policy advisor at the Bureau of Justice Assistance, or BJA. Matthew Lazowski, who is a senior advisor for tribal affairs at the COPS office. We have Michael Dutch, who is a regional coordinator for the state local tribal division at the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center, or FLETC. Rich Leonard, who's a senior program manager at the National Center for Missing and Exploiting Children, or NCMEC. And Julianne Dunn, Senior Program Officer at Rural LISC. Also with us today is John Connolly, Senior Program Officer at the Local Initiative Support Corporation. Before we start diving into today's webinar, I do want to go over a few event logistics. One, we are recording the event today. That recording will be posted on the RVCRI website along with a copy of the presentation deck that you see here. We'll make sure to send out a notice to everyone once that recording is available. All attendees have been muted today just to prevent background noise from coming into the event. But if you do have a question at any point in time throughout today's presentation, please feel free to use that Q&A and chat feature that you see there along the bottom of your screen, and we will be answering questions at the end of today's event. There will also be a brief evaluation survey at the end. We'll make sure to put that link for you in the chat when we get there, as well as share a QR code if you'd prefer to scan it that way. That evaluation survey should only take you a couple of minutes to complete. We do appreciate any feedback that you provide. It helps us improve for our future events. Before we dive into today's content, I do want to take a few minutes to introduce some of the presenters that I mentioned earlier, starting first with Juliana Palmer, who, as I mentioned, is a policy advisor at the Bureau of Justice Assistance on their Law Enforcement Innovation and Crime Reduction team. In that role, Ms. Palmer oversees the Rural and Small Department Violent Crime Reduction efforts and the National Extreme Risk Order Protection Resource Center. Prior to joining BJA, she served as an assistant director at the Maryland Governor's Office of Crime Prevention, Youth, and Victim Services, where she oversaw Maryland's Justice Reinvestment Initiative and supported the Criminal Justice Programs Division. Prior to that, she worked at the International Association of Chiefs of Police, where she managed several projects, ranging on a variety of topics from officer safety and wellness and suicide prevention to building community trust. She's also worked directly at a Maryland Circuit Court, where she provided oversight to all state and federal grant-funded programs, including family drug treatment courts and programs to support pro se litigants. She holds her Master's of Science in Justice, Law, and Criminology from American University. Matt is the Senior Advisor for Tribal Affairs at the Office of Community-Oriented Policing Services, or the COPS office. In that role, Matt works to coordinate both internal and external tribal issues for the COPS office, including the development and implementation of the Department of Justice's Coordinated Tribal Assistance Solicitation, coordination with other government agencies on policies and procedures affecting tribes, and conducting outreach to those tribes. He is assisted with Operation Lady Justice and the Presidential Task Force on Missing and Murdered American Indians and Alaska Natives. Prior to his position, Matt was a social science analyst in the Research and Development Division at the COPS office, where he focused on several issues, including tribal policing, policing underserved populations, and fear of crime. Prior to his almost 20 years of service at the COPS office, he worked for the Texas Regional Community Policing Institute and has experience as a law enforcement officer with the National Park Service. He holds a Master's of Arts in Criminal Justice and Criminology from Sam Houston State University. Michael Dutch, as I mentioned, is a regional coordinator for the State, Local, and Tribal Division at FLETC, which is a component of the Department of Homeland Security. FLETC is the world's largest law enforcement training organization, providing comprehensive training to over 120 federal agencies and numerous state, local, and tribal law enforcement entities. With over 25 years of law enforcement experience, he began his career as an officer with the Philadelphia Police Department, where he held multiple assignments from narcotic strike force to multiple police districts, gaining extensive field experience. During his tenure there, he also served as an instructor for the Bike Patrol Unit. And in December 2002, he transitioned from the Philadelphia Police Department over to the Secret Service Uniform Division. There, he contributed to the security of key sites, including the White House complex, the Vice President's residence, and foreign diplomatic missions, all located in Washington, D.C. There, he was selected as an instructor to serve at the Secret Service James J. Rowley Training Center. When he joined FLETC in 2014, he started as an instructor in both the Physical Techniques Division and the Enforcement Operations Division. In those roles, he provided training in tactical skills, officer safety, and operational readiness. He then moved into his regional coordinator position in 2020. We also have Rich Leonard with us today, who, as I mentioned, is a senior manager at the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children on their Team Adam program. He has been with NCMEC for several years following his retirement after a 32-year career in law enforcement with Prince William County and Stafford County in Northern Virginia. During his law enforcement career, he served many years as a detective working crimes against children and violent crime cases, and supervised the crime scene investigation unit in Prince William County before retiring from there and creating a crime scene unit for Stafford County. He served 25 years in the United States Air Force and Maryland Air National Guard as an aircrew member flying C-130 aircraft, and did 4 tours of duty in the Persian Gulf during Operation Desert Shield and Desert Storm. He has received the Virginia Homicide Investigators Association Homicide Investigator of the Year Award and the Lifetime Achievement Award. In 2019, he was also awarded Educator of the Year from the International Homicide Investigators Association. And last but certainly not least, we have Julianne Dunn with us, who is a Senior Program Officer of Workforce and Financial Prosperity at LISC, where she manages a comprehensive portfolio of community and economic development programs, including the Rural Works Program, which is a workforce development initiative that leverages the momentum of rural communities to reimagine and redevelop workforce ecosystems that impact their communities, as well as the financial literacy, education and coaching, small business and entrepreneurship, and safety and justice programs. She works to align the workforce, financial capability, business development, and retention and justice efforts, and to highlight the innovations and challenges in rural markets to foster a 21st century economy. Julianne also holds several degrees, one being a Master's of Public Health from the University of Arkansas, and the other a Master's of Public Service from the University of Arkansas Clinton School of Public Affairs. With those introductions complete, I'm going to talk about our agenda just a little bit and then turn it over to our first presenter. So today we hope to help you all learn about some of the grant opportunities that will be coming out next year. They're specifically tailored for rural, tribal, and relatedly small police departments and criminal justice agencies. Discover training programs that can enhance your department's skills and capabilities, as well as other resources that are out there in terms of economic development and community safety. And then, like I said, at the end of today's event, we'll be opening it up for that question and answer portion. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to our first presenter. So Juliana, the floor is yours.
Thanks so much, Sam. Sam, can you just do a thumbs up so I can make sure you can hear me? Awesome. All right. Well, so thank you for joining us today, everyone, and good afternoon, good morning, wherever you're calling in from. As we're getting started with this section, I did just want to give a brief agenda of my content that I'll be covering today. I'm going to talk to you all about the Office of Justice Programs, or OJP, and the Bureau of Justice Assistance, just so you understand the work that we do. And then I'll go through some of the funding programs and resources that BJA has available. It's going to be a lot of information. And I'm only doing a brief bit of each program or resource. So there's a lot more to be covered, but we're on a limited amount of time. And then, of course, we'll have Q&A at the end of this session. Next slide. So for those who are not familiar with the Office of Justice Programs, we are one of 3 grant-making components at the Department of Justice. The other 2 being the Office on Violence Against Women and the Office of Community-Oriented Policing Services, known as the COPS Office, who we'll hear from shortly. BJA is one of several components of OJP. Other components include the Bureau of Justice Statistics, whose mission is really to collect, analyze, and disseminate information on crime and other topic areas. The National Institute of Justice, which is our research component. The Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention, which works to prevent and respond to youth delinquency and protect children. the Office for Victims of Crime, which works to enhance the nation's capacity to assist crime victims, and the Office of Sex Offender Sentencing, Monitoring, Apprehending, Registering, and Tracking, also known as the SMART Office, which tracks important developments related to sex offenders. Next slide. So our mission here at BJA specifically is to strengthen the nation's criminal justice system and to help state, local, and tribal jurisdictions reduce and prevent crime, reduce recidivism, and promote a fair and safe criminal justice system. Our website is bja.ojp.gov, and by visiting our website, you can find access to a lot of funding opportunities, resources, upcoming events, and more. Next slide. So BJA focuses our programmatic efforts and policy efforts on a wide range of resources, including training and technical assistance. We do that through funding investments in diverse funding streams to accomplish goals, educating and equipping and partnering with many different organizations and agencies throughout the country. Slide. So we have a quick poll question here, and I just wanted to do this to get a little bit of an idea of who is joining us today, specifically whether or not you've been awarded federal grants in the past. Obviously, not all of our presenters here today are coming from federal agencies to talk about grants, but I think this is really helpful from the purview of BJA. So has your organization been awarded federal grants in the past? You can say yes, you have extensive experience, yes, but you don't have any current federal grants. Your organization has limited experience, or you're entirely new and looking to learn more. So we'll give this another moment. And then while everyone is completing this poll, one thing that I will highlight is as I'm talking about the resources and programs available through BJA, some will be competitive grant programs that are on kind of the federal funding cycle, but not all of them are specific to federal competitive grant agreements.
Yeah, just so you know, that poll is slowing down a little bit. Looks like we've got just shy of 50 folks responding. And the top choices are, my organization has very limited experience with federal grants. And then yes, my organization has extensive experience. So it looks like kind of split there right in the middle.
Great. Well, you're all in good company. I think the information we'll be covering here today is applicable whether you have a lot of grants or very few. So thank you, Sam, for that readout, and you can go to the next slide. So we'll go over some of those programs right now. The first is our Rural and Small Department Violent Crime Reduction Program. One component of that being the Rural Violent Crime Reduction Initiative that Sam and John both work to run for BJA as the training and technical assistance providers. So to support rural and small departments throughout the country, BJA has been investing a lot of money in providing grants and training to rural agencies. Since 2021, over 100 agencies and growing throughout the country have received funding and training to implement crime reduction strategies. Agencies participating in this program work to implement crime reduction programming and activities with a wide range of topics and areas of focus. We currently have agencies working to address violent crime challenges ranging from assaults and robberies to homicides, intimate partner violence to narcotics-related violent crime, gang-related violent crime, and firearms-related crime to child abuse and exploitation as well. And since launching these efforts in 2021, BJA has invested more than $30 million in funding both grants for sites and training and technical assistance to support agencies and their crime reduction goals. You can learn more by visiting ruralvcri.org. And Sam, if you can click through to the two items for this slide. So there you have 30 million plus. And one really exciting thing, the RVCRI microgrant application will reopen in early 2025. This application has not been open since 2020, RVCRI. And there is additional funding that will become available for the field. These micro grants are smaller pots of money that agencies can work directly with the National Policing Institute or LISC to obtain access to, and you can learn more by visiting that website. Next slide. In 2023, BJA also launched the Crime Analyst in Residence program, also known as the CAR program. While not limited to small rural agencies, the program has mostly consisted of rural and small departments. The CAR program helps agencies expand their use of data analysis and analytics through on-site and virtual training and technical assistance. So this is not a program where you apply for funding, rather you apply to receive that tailored technical assistance and access to subject matter experts to really help your agency bolster their crime analysis capabilities. And you can learn more by visiting crimeanalystinresidence.com. Next slide. And then in 2022, the Small Rural and Tribal Body-Worn Camera Microgrant Program began to receive funding through BJA. This program is operated by Justice and Security Strategies, and the program's goal really is to provide financial and technical support to small, rural, and tribal law enforcement agencies to help them implement body-worn cameras. It was specifically designed to meet the needs of agencies that often have little or no experience with federal grants. So again, microgrant program, you're working directly with the training and technical assistance provider to receive access to these funds, implement a body-worn camera program. And I do believe that coming soon, the SRT body-worn camera program will have additional funding available. So I encourage you to keep your eyes out at srtbwc.com. Moving on, this is the Reaching Rural initiative brings together rural practitioners from different professional backgrounds and areas throughout the country to support them as they grow as leaders and advance solutions to address challenges of substance use in their community. This is a fellows program. So agencies apply to participate in this program, and fellows are selected through a competitive application process to participate in the initiative through one of two tracks, either as a part of a cross-sector team from their community or as individuals. This is a year-long program, and throughout that, the fellows learn directly from rural practitioners and each other. They get coaching and participate in skill-building workshops and peer-to-peer learning experiences. And upon completion of the planning initiative, which again is 1 year long, communities are eligible to apply for funding to implement their projects planned throughout that 1 year fellowship. This Reaching Rural initiative is actually accepting applications now through December. And so you can learn more at reachingrural.cosup.org. This is a really innovative approach to supporting agencies and communities develop a plan. And then again, you have the opportunity to apply for funding to implement that plan. Next slide. We've got a wide range of forensics programs available through BJA. The ones that I'll highlight specifically include prosecuting cold cases using the DNA, which supports agencies in resolving violent crime cold cases by providing them with resources to investigate and prosecute cases where a suspect's DNA profile has been generated. BJA also administers the National Sexual Assault Kit Initiative Grant Program, also known as SAKI. This initiative provides jurisdictions with resources to address their cold case sexual assaults and homicides, as well as other violent cold case crimes. And you can learn more by visiting bja.ojp.gov on those initiatives. Next slide. This right here, I really encourage everyone to take down this link. BJA does have this really great free and valuable resource available to you right now, and that's the Public Safety Partnership Virtual Academy. This academy offers courses on a variety of law enforcement topics and are free to law enforcement agencies nationwide. Some available topics include training on crime guns, machine gun conversion devices, and data-driven approaches to address gun violence. So you can learn more by visiting and signing up at nationalpublicsafetypartnership.org/academy. Again, this is free, something you can access now, and encourage you to do so. And I've got a couple more slides to go through. BJA also administers funding for the Law Enforcement Knowledge Lab, which is the first of its kind resource hub to identify and disseminate evidence-based innovative policing practices, training and technical assistance. Agencies can request free training and technical assistance through the Knowledge Lab by visiting leknowledgelab.org. Next slide. One area of interest, and Sam had mentioned, I supported some officer safety and wellness initiatives earlier in my career. So this is very near and dear to my heart, but BJA does oversee and administer the Valor Officer Safety and Wellness Initiative, which has a really, really wide range of free resources, no-cost training, customized assistance. There's resources, there's research, and there's partnerships that Valor really helps to stand up and create safer communities. Agencies can request no-cost training that can be delivered in person, on demand, virtual, or even hybrid. And there's a wide range of initiatives, the Valor Program, National Suicide Awareness for Law Enforcement Officers, also known as SafeLEO, and more. And you can find more and learn more by visiting valorforblue.org. Next slide. And this is one of my last slides. One thing I did want to really stress for everyone who's here today, we hear a lot about TTA, and we throw that word out, and I feel really strongly that we really need to clarify what we mean by training and technical assistance. BJA does have a training and technical assistance national center. It's called NTAC. You can visit NTAC and request training and technical assistance on a wide range of topics: courts, corrections, crime prevention, information sharing, law enforcement, mental health, tribal justice, capacity building. The list goes on. And even if you don't exactly know what you need, you can still submit a request to NTAC. And NTAC can work with you, work with your agency, work with your community to determine where your needs are, what you should request, whether that's training, whether it's access to subject matter experts on one of those wide range of topic areas, access to training, travel to peer-to-peer site visits, and more. So you can learn more by visiting bjatpa.bja.ojp.gov. And then, of course, stay connected. These are our social media channels, Facebook, X, YouTube, and of course, our website. Our website always highlights our available funding opportunities, whether it's our federal grants direct to sites or our micro grant programs, our resources, and of course, our National Training and Technical Assistance Center. And with that, I believe I'm at time or a bit over. So I'm going to be handing it over to my colleague, Matt from the COPS office, to talk a little bit more about some of the support that they have there. Matt?
Thanks, Juliana, and thanks for Sam for the introduction earlier as well. Again, I'm Matt Lizakowski, and I'm the Senior Advisor for Tribal Affairs for the COPS office. And I'm going to talk to you today about a few different resources the COPS office has that can assist rural agencies in addressing violent crime. These are sometimes referred to as COPS's three-legged stool of resources: our grant programs, our publications, and our training and technical assistance. All of our resources are geared to meeting the mission of the COPS office, which is to advance community policing and law enforcement agencies and communities across the country. So the area that folks are most often interested in are grant programs, the funds. So these are a few of the programs that are available from the COPS office, and I'm going to just briefly cover all of them here and mention kind of their general focus. So the Tribal Resources Grant Program, which is offered via the Coordinated Tribal Assistance Solicitation, is available to tribes to support hiring officers and equipment needs. Our COPS hiring program is our largest grant program at the COPS office, and this covers officer salary and benefits for 3 years up to $125,000. And this program is statutorily split between small and large agencies. So there is a requirement that we fund, that we utilize half of the funds in small and rural agencies. And many of these programs have an emphasis on rural agencies, but that one is actually statutorily written in. The Community Policing Development Program is a series of smaller grant areas that focus on specific topics in the field. So this past year, for example, we had promoting access to crisis teams. We had a small program on accreditation efforts. We had a small program called micro grants, and within micro grants, there's usually a couple of different areas that we're focusing on each year. This past year, we had topics such as officer recruitment and retention, underserved populations, building trust and legitimacy with the community, hate crimes, community violence intervention, and also we had an open topics area. So if you have sort of an innovative community policing idea that you haven't quite been able to find the funds to get off the ground, that micro grant opportunity is a good one to think about. We also had a program on safer outcomes or de-escalation under our broader community policing development topic. We had a school violence prevention program that is available for school safety equipment, locks, lighting, etc. For law enforcement. And then finally, we have our mental health and wellness program, which can fund training, peer mentoring, and other activities to support mental health and wellness for officers. As Juliana mentioned, our programs like BJAs typically open in the spring timeframe, with the exception of the Tribal Resources Grant Program. That one usually opens in the winter, but all of these are pending appropriations from Congress, but likely to come out in the spring timeframe. That's the first leg of our stool, our grant programs. And then the second leg of our stool is the publications that we offer. We have hundreds of publications on several specific topics, including specific ones for small and rural agencies. I highlighted a couple of them here on this slide. Implementing peer support services, recruiting and retaining officers, and an evidence-based crime reduction strategies for small, rural, and tribal agencies. These are guidebooks, white papers, case studies that we promote on the website. They're available for download. Some of them are still available in hard copy if you're like me and like to still touch and feel that paper. The topics, in addition to these topics you see on here, we have resources on community partnerships, youth safety, technology, and again, hiring, recruitment, retention, which is a very important topic these days. So the publications are the second leg of our stool. And then the third leg of our stool that I'm going to talk about probably the most is the training and technical assistance. And as Juliana mentioned, we're really looking to engage rural agencies in the training and technical assistance opportunities that we have. All the grants are competitive from the COPS office, and so you may or may not receive a grant, but the training and technical assistance is generally open to everyone. So we encourage folks to consider requesting training and technical assistance. So the COPS office primarily offers training and technical assistance through our collaborative reform initiative. And it's a continuum of technical assistance that has sort of three different lanes in it. CRITAC, we like our acronyms, of course, the Collaborative Reform Initiative Technical Assistance Center is the first lane, critical response being a second lane, and then our organizational assessment being our third lane. CRITAC is the widest and kind of considered the anchor program in some respects. Critical response and organizational assessments focus on agencies with a significant issue, event, or systematic problem that is damaging trust. CRITAC is sort of similar to BJA's NTAC that Juliana mentioned, in that it's a request and deliver basis of technical assistance that focuses on things like training, peer exchanges, policy review, strategic planning, and those types of services. The critical response lane or offering is focused more on issue-specific reviews or reports around targeted assistance in the wake of a critical incident, such as an officer-involved shooting or a mass casualty event. And then our organizational assessment program is the most intensive technical assistance that we offer, and it involves an in-depth assessment and technical assistance on systemic issues. And these are longer term, like 12 to 18-month engagements, and they generally consist of a review of the entire department. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about CRITAC specifically, and generally the sort of intake process for all of these three offerings under collaborative reform. It's really a fairly straightforward process to request assistance. It can be an email, it can be a phone call to us. We have a short form available on our website that I'll reference here later, where you just lay out kind of the basics of what you think you might need, and we will take that in, reach back out to you, and kind of refine what specifically you're looking for, and work with you to develop a plan, a work plan to address your needs, and then begin the initiation of whatever technical assistance we may be able to offer through our work plan. So it's like Juliana said, if you don't know exactly what you need, that's okay. Just go ahead and put in the request for assistance. Go ahead to the next slide. So CRITAC again is primarily the program you would likely be looking at for technical assistance if you're looking for that peer-to-peer kind of service, specific training that you want brought to your department. And CRITAC is a partnership with many different agencies, IACP, FOP, Noble, many of the stakeholder organizations. And again, it's agency driven and narrowly scoped. Next slide. Again, we cover the gamut of topics in the public safety field. So anything from human trafficking, de-escalation, recruitment, retention, youth engagement, leadership, more than 60 different topics that we offer through CRITAC. And this is just the website to request assistance, collaborativereform.org, or you can always visit our website, cops.usdoj.gov as well, and access the program through there. Lastly, I wanted to talk for just a minute or two about the COPS Office Training Portal and its value to the law enforcement community. So the COPS Office approach to training is listed here, and I'm not going to go through these in too much detail, but they're free to officers and agencies is always an important point. And our training goes through a very rigorous, standardized process that includes development by subject matter experts, a peer review process to ensure that it's meeting the needs of the target audience for the training, and they go through a pilot delivery and revision. So it's a very strong sort of standardized process for our trainings to ensure that they're really high quality. And they go through a biennial review process as well. We offer both e-learning and in-person courses through the COPS training portal, which on the next slide has a couple of the topics again that we offer through the training portal. The courses really are in about 10 different topics right now: drug awareness, enforcement, traffic safety. They range anywhere from like 30 minutes in training to about 8 hours. So they're on demand, so officers can start and stop them when they need to. They include videos and guides that could be used for things like roll call and other resources that we have available on these topics in the training portal. The training portal is available at copstrainingportal.org again, or through our website, cops.usdoj.gov. It's a quick sign up process to enroll and get your training process kicked off. And then finally, I just wanted to mention we did in DOJ in partnership with Juliana and BJA launch a new website for small and rural resources that compiles all the different resources across the BJA and COPS office that houses our training and technical assistance offerings, the funding, the publications, and the resources that you heard Juliana and I both talk about. And with that, I think I am turning it over to Michael from FLETC. Thanks so much.
Good afternoon. Hope everyone's doing well. My name is Michael Gunt, and I'm Regional Coordinator for the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center in Georgia. At the map you're looking at right there, and you're here to talk about FLETC expert training. Not only do we deliver training to the federal side of it, we do a lot of training for state, local, and tribal across the country. As you can see, last year, we put out 347 programs throughout the country. On that map right there that you're looking at, they are the regions that we have regional coordinators assigned. So if your state resides in one of those regions, below that you will see a number that is dedicated to that region. So if you're in the Northeast Region 1, that will be the phone number that you can reach out to that regional coordinator, and they can make any questions you have about maybe bringing the training up to your state and its agency. At the bottom of that list, you see the Center Advanced Leadership Training. That is my direct phone number. If you wish to send any of your personnel to training at one of our FLETC centers, contact me and we can discuss and how it was big. Next slide, please. Okay, all of our training in state, local, and tribal efforts is at no cost. Okay, that's federal, that's and also direct support. That could be your crime scene tax and stuff like that. It's offered at no cost or low cost. All right, it's the manual agency. In the bottom, it says does include training equipment. So most of our training that you take here at FLETC, we leave with the equipment that you're training. So it's not here at your agency. So if you come to one of our photography classes, you get a lot of pictures, you leave it at the your agency. No good if we did all this training and we don't have the equipment to bring back in the theater. Now we also have it in here, FLETC, and also bring it to we have 4 FLETC centers. Now the Maryland, the South Carolina, Fusion, New Mexico, and here again we can start with. Imagine it's the also last year we trained over 11,000 officers. Large training. It's like the thing. Yeah, this is a mandated funding we find us that is all no cost training, where they have our active threat program, which is anti-threat destructive program, which is about 5-day program. Our active threat operator program is another 4-day program. We have our captain that is the first responder, and also the destructive program. These are just a few other portfolio that can bring. Underneath that, you'll see that critical incident response training. That's something new that are often now, which is it's just not like one-stop shop. There are some programs you can mention, but it's for me there's community. And if it's like an interviewing plans, you can really get from digital evidence recovery. There would be a way for us to make that work through your agency. We do have a bunch of stuff in our training catalog. That's not it. You are always trying to find a way to get to see if we can assist your agency with some kind of training. If we don't offer it, we will definitely find one of our partners to assist you with them. We do have funding for our youth programs. And also with that, we have started this year a 4-day program for your basic law enforcement officer. We're just working the streets. We're doing basic police stuff. The instructor program, we go through your academy trainers and everything like that. Last year, just in the use of force instructor program, we did 50 across the United States of America. And this year we're trying to incorporate the operators with Monday close to 75. We also have that on our centers, and so it's another way not to eliminate forces the country. Reach out to me if you can get those problems simply. Next slide, please. We also offer a unit faculty awareness program. Part of the day is you go over some videos, slides, and some case studies. But follow that is a panel discussion that you bring in from state, local, and federal subject matter experts from your area, from your city, from your county. You have open discussions and see how they can assist you in what you want. Next slide, please. So another thing that we've been starting is the Department of Homeland Security Leadership Academy. We've got 2 weeks in their sessions running in. This is for 2-week command level leadership course. They can be from the basic line supervisor all the way up to the sheriff, chief, of the department. There's a lot of stuff we focus on crisis leadership, or what's trending in the news today. We do a lot of different presenters, speakers, and to talk about trends. With that, we've got 30 per session. In the last 3 sessions, we actually included international law enforcement. And once you have graduated that, you will be added to the website that there are hundreds and hundreds of past graduates that you can have contact here throughout the country. With this also, it is a free course at no cost to you and your agents to attend. And if like again, like more information, please reach out to me. And we'll change that to that. That's the thing. All right, I guess that's all for me. Again, my phone number will be at the bottom of the page. If you need that, you need my number again at the end of the chat. Working the answer from the and thank you for your time.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Rich Leonard. I'm the Senior Program Manager for Team Adam at the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. I have 2 full-time staff and 156 what we call TACs, Team Adam consultants scattered around the country. We are a 501c3 organization. We do operate under a grant from the Department of Justice as well as private donations. And we have several divisions within the National Center, and I'd be here for hours trying to explain all of the resources that all of our divisions hold. So we're going to keep this pretty much to the Team Adam program, which is considered the field operations group for our organization. Myself, Priscilla, and Brenda have all been with the National Center for many years. I've been there 14 years, Priscilla 21, and Brenda for 27 years now. And she used to be the program manager for Team Adam. So next slide. So our Team Adam consultants are selected through a comprehensive process, and we bring on board retired law enforcement professionals with backgrounds in criminal investigations, specifically in areas related to missing children or missing persons and violent crimes. And when there is a ongoing critical case, like today, we had one in Ohio of a missing child on the autism spectrum, we deploy our consultants on site to your agency so that you have all of the resources that the National Center has, both in-house and through our partnerships, right at your arm's reach. And so you can make those requests through that consultant who will make those back through the case manager that's assigned the case, and we'll make all of it happen. So what they bring to the table is expertise and backgrounds in working these kinds of cases. And many of the agencies that we work with are smaller agencies. They're not the large departments that have lots of resources, but they're the smaller agencies that don't have the personnel or the funding. And sometimes these cases have a tendency to go for long periods of time, and then you've got to try to figure out where you're going to get the staffing and the assistance to help cover that case over a long period of time. So our folks serve as that on-site resource for those critical cases with missing children or exploited children. We can provide case assistance, which are long-term cases. We can also assist with those, and we can facilitate the access to all of our resources. And I'll talk a little bit about those as we go on. But we also have resources that are available for the families of the victim, the missing child. And we also assist FEMA through a contract with deploying in times of disaster in order to reunite children that are separated through disaster. Katrina was the big one that everybody remembers, and there were almost 6,000 children that were separated, and we were able to get all those kids home. Next slide. So this is a map that shows, don't worry about the colors of the stars. That has to do with the different experience and expertise that they have. But those stars represent locations around the country where we have consultants that are available to deploy out. And so, next slide. What we can provide to you specifically in expertise is search and rescue management and resources. We have partnerships with SAR teams around the country to include canines, scent dogs, HRD dogs, GPR resources, etc. We are the only agency in the country that can come in and assist you with determining where a child's remains may be within a landfill. If you have a case where a child may have been murdered, dumped into a dumpster, and then to a landfill, our folks can come in and help you determine where in that landfill that child may be, and what resources you'll need, and how much it's going to cost, which is the big thing. And by the way, all of our resources, as the others have said and done, are at no cost to the agency. We can provide recommendations and strategies how to further that case, whether it's a critical case that's ongoing now or whether it's a long-term case. And we can come in, we can sit down on that long-term case, we'll scan it into a digital format, because a lot of cases, those old cases are just in boxes somewhere on a shelf. They've jumbled up, so they need to be organized. They need to be scanned into a digital format. They review the case, they review the evidence, and they provide recommendations how to further that case. Additionally, for the families, we can provide reunification services, access to mental health professionals, and education for children through our family advocacy program. Next slide. Some of the activations of what we call critical deployments are those cases that are happening right now, such as the one that's going on right now in Westchester, Ohio, with the autistic child. We can get somebody there usually within a couple of hours to provide you with assistance. Some areas of the country, we don't have anybody close by, so we may do phone consultations to assist and get those resources that you need. Again, that search and rescue assistance and that landfill assessment that we can assist with. Case assistance deployments are what we refer to as long-term cases. Just today, Pennsylvania State Police announced an unidentified child that was found 51 years ago was just identified, working with our forensic services unit and forensic genealogy. So we can assist with not only those long-term cases, but unidentified child remains cases. And we work very closely with our folks in our analytical services division and look at all of the attempted abductions that occur around the country, and then make sure that if there are similarities, get those agencies that have those different cases, because as you know, our folks, our offenders are mobile, get them talking to one another and hopefully catch this person prior to them being successful at abducting a child. And of course, we do a lot of outreach and networking through Missing Persons Day, conferences and presentations, community safety events. We also have what we call a Child Abduction Response Team activities initiative, where we assign one of our consultants to every one of the known child abduction response teams, which are local or statewide teams, to become embedded in that team. When they are activated and deployed, we can then deploy our folks out with them to make sure that the resources available through NCMEC are in fact brought to bear on that case. Next slide. Some of the things that we can do that a lot of people don't realize is we can actually, through analytical services division, do backgrounds on the family members and locate them where they are, and then facilitate with a local law enforcement agency to collect a DNA sample. That's free of charge. We provide the kit and we'll work with that local agency. A lot of our missing kids, maybe they went missing in California, but now their parents live in Arizona, and so we can assist with that. We also try to look for those medical records, fingerprints, dental radios, grafts, and other biometric data to identify missing children. Unfortunately, as you know, back before the mid-1980s, there was no such animal as DNA. And so a lot of those long-term cases are not even uploaded DNA, have been uploaded into CODIS. And so they can't search against the unidentified remains cases. And so we can assist with that. We can also assist with exhumations so that we can get a DNA sample to upload into CODIS. Maybe it's a missing child and mom is deceased and we may exhume mom. We have on our team forensic odontologist, forensic anthropologist, and we just added a forensic entomologist. And so they can assist with clandestine graves or those exhumations, also with identifying unidentified remains through dental records. So next slide. We also have a imaging unit that can provide age progression images, and we can do skull reconstructions as well. Our media folks can help get that information out into the public eye and feature that information on our website, on our Facebook and Instagram pages and all the other social media sites that we're on. We can also assist with poster distribution through media partners. You've probably seen the posters of missing children up on the wall at Walmart. We have access to digital billboards, also gas stations with the electronic board on them. We're now using those to highlight the missing children in that particular area. And the Postal Service can send out flyers to specific zip codes of missing children. Next slide. So a lot of these specialized resources that we can assist you with, again, that search and rescue management assistance, cell phone forensics, Celebrite, the premier agency to break into cell phones, will do pro bono work for law enforcement when requested through the National Center. We can assist with leads management, rapid DNA testing through the United States Secret Service Lab, mapping assistance. Our SAR folks have access to all the different mapping programs, landfill search assessment, vehicle forensics through Burla vehicle forensics. That's a new thing in the last 10 or 15 years. All these cars are loaded with computers. We can assist with timelines, pro bono lab testing if you have evidence in a case, K9 and HRD teams. Many people have never heard of the Air Force Rescue Coordination Center. I have an Air Force background, so I'm very familiar with what AFRCC can do. And what they can provide is access to all of the military services. So that includes personnel, cantinas, drones, fixed wing, rotor wing aircraft, satellite imagery, you name it, AFRCC can assist, as they are the agency that is responsible for all inland search and rescue within the continental United States. The only caveat to AFRCC providing assistance is the state has to agree to allow them to bring military assets into your state to assist with that particular case. They will not, however, get involved in any arrest scenarios or situations because of posse comitatus. And we also have drone technology that's available through partnerships. Next slide. So one of our federal partners, many people don't realize that sitting in seats within our headquarters at Alexandria, Virginia, we have liaisons from the FBI, the Secret Service, the Marshal Service, Homeland Security Investigations, Postal Inspectors, Department of State, Army CID, and NCIS. And so all of the resources that they have, such as the FBI's Child Abduction Rapid Deployment Team, or cell phone tracking through the Marshal Service, or tracking sex offenders through their sex offender tracking team. All of that can be brought to bear on these cases. And one of the things that I also like to make sure that I harp on is that if you have an offender that has ever been served in the military, we can get their military records, and you might be surprised what's found in there. You'd be surprised. That includes disciplinary records. So they can be requested through NCMEC. Next slide. We do a lot of community outreach and presentations, like I said, National Night Out, community safety events, school safety events, booths at conferences. We do presentations to child abduction response teams, local aid, law enforcement agencies, and tribal communities and community groups. Next slide. The CART initiative for us, there's 130 plus CART teams in the United States, and we have one of our consultants assigned to each of those. And they provide presentations to the team about NCMEC's resources. They can access executive trainings at NCMEC headquarters, and they become an integral part of that team to deploy when that team is activated. And by the way, our training folks division at NCMEC has all kinds of training access that you can get to, as well as publications, etc. And they're all free on our website. Again, that's www.missingkids.org. Next slide. We are working closely with the FBI, who is now bringing access to NCIC to tribal communities where they didn't have that before. And we piggyback with them. We do presentations with the law enforcement agencies as well as their tribal councils, and then they become a liaison to that tribal nation. Should they have a missing child episode, all they have to do is contact that liaison. We'll get the case intaked at the National Center, and we can then provide resources on tribal lands. And for those that don't realize, there's over 570 federally recognized tribes within the United States, and several hundred more that are just state recognized. So next slide. So after Hurricane Katrina, FEMA realized really quickly that they didn't have a way to deal with all the children that were separated from their families during times of disaster. So we now have a contract, and we will deploy Team Adam consultants into the disaster area to assist local and federal emergency managers with reuniting those children with their families. As I said, excuse me, in Katrina, there were over 6,000 children. It took us 15 months to get those kids home. We all have FEMA contractor credentials. If a state asks for assistance and it's not a federally declared disaster, we will still provide assistance at no cost. And most recently, the deployments that we were out, I didn't add the most recent one, Hurricane Helene, but our canine folks down in North Carolina assisted trying to locate remains in those cases. So Harvey, Maria in Puerto Rico, we usually get the call, and we try to do our best to provide as many folks as we possibly can. Next slide. So the biggest thing to understand about getting resources through the National Center is that the case has to be intaked at NCMEC before we can provide resources. The easiest way to do that is call the case into the NCMEC 24-hour hotline, which is 1-800-THE-LOST. Once that case has been intaked, it's assigned to a case manager, and then that case manager will reach out to the contact at the law enforcement agency and then provide you with assistance. All you have to do is say, hey, we want Team Adam, and they will contact me, and I will get somebody on the way to you, again, within a few hours. They will provide that on-site consultation and access to any of our resources or the resources that we have through our partnerships with outside organizations, labs, etc. So next slide. So with that, I'm going to turn this over to Julianne Dunn with Rural LISC, and she'll take it from there.
Great. Thanks so much, Rich. We appreciate that. So Julianne is with Rural LISC, and she is happy to answer any questions that folks have. I'm going to put her contact information at the end of today's presentation, and it will also be in the PowerPoint that we're going to upload to the website. If you all have any questions about Rural LISC, please go ahead and send those in, and we will facilitate that conversation between you all and Julianne. And apologies today, as we're getting close to the hour, we're going to be respectful of time there. But I do want to open it up to my colleague, John, just in case he has any words that he would like to say about LISC in general or the Rural LISC program specifically before we open it up for the Q&A section. So John, anything that you'd like to add?
Thanks so much, Sam. Yeah, I know we ran out of time here, but great presenters, great information for the team, and we're happy to follow up and have individual conversations with sites that are interested in learning more about the safety and justice or the rural programs at LISC. I'll turn it back over to you, Sam.
Perfect. Thanks so much, John. I do have up on the screen here contact information for our presenters. So you will see Julianne's information there. Like I said, we are happy to facilitate that conversation. With the minute remaining here, we are going to open it up for Q&A. So if you have questions and you haven't already put them into that chat or Q&A feature, please feel free to do so now. If we can't get to them today, we will follow up with you after today's event and get you those answers. But I do want to open it up with one question that we received through the registration list. So Matt, I think I'm going to start with you on this one if you're comfortable with it. But the question is there specific funding for Alaska law enforcement available?
Thanks, Samantha. For tribal law enforcement agencies in Alaska, yes, our Tribal Resources Grant Program is available. And then for non-tribal agencies in Alaska, our COPS hiring program and all of our other grant programs are available to agencies in Alaska as well.
Great, thanks, Matt. Juliana, anything you'd like to add on that question as well?
Sure, that's a great question. We do currently have one site in Alaska that's represented through the Rural Violent Crime Reduction Initiative. And that program, as mentioned earlier, will be accepting applications in early 2025. The eligibility criteria is on the website. However, if you are speaking about rural sites or rural communities in Alaska, those communities would be eligible for the RVCRI. I'll also say that the same goes with the body-worn camera program and the full suite of training and technical assistance covered during the BJA section would be available to those communities as well. I hope that helps, Dan.
Perfect. Great. Thank you all. Like I mentioned, if anyone else has questions or comments that they would like to ask of our presenters, feel free to go ahead and send those in. You can see my information up there as well for folks if anyone would like to send the questions and I can facilitate them out. But with that, we do appreciate everyone's time. If you could please complete the evaluation survey, you'll see the link there in the chat, and also you can scan that QR code on the screen. We would really appreciate it. And with that, I'll wish everyone a happy afternoon and happy holidays. Thank you for joining us.